Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jen Hatmaker Book Club podcast. This is one of my favorite things that I do in my whole career. We always have these incredible books and authors in book club. And then one of the coolest things that we get to do every single month is have a dedicated interview with our author. And we get to ask our actual personal questions and have this incredible access to them and to their story. And so I want to tell you about the book and author that we are featuring this month, and particularly here on today's interview. This conversation is with Eliana Ramage and her debut novel, To the Moon and Back, which we are talking about today, January selection for JHBC, took more than a decade to write. She actually began this book in her early 20s. We talk about it. And stuck kind of with it in the margins through all these years of like teaching and pauses away from the book altogether. And, you know, the fringe hours, if you will. And then she returned to it as her own life was changing and evolving. So let me tell you about Eliana. She is a citizen of Cherokee Nation. She trained at the Iowa Writers Workshop. She went to Dartmouth. Her writing is shaped by really big themes: identity, belonging, inheritance, connection. And it's not just where we come from, but what we do with what we've been given, where we are going. So this is definitely a story that has ambition kind of at the heart of it, but because it's very broadly painting with the broadest brush. It's about a young Indigenous woman who wants more than anything on earth to become an astronaut. I mean, that's the umbrella, but there is so much underneath it. It's a story about family, about heritage. It's the cost of a single-minded dream at the expense of everything else. And then ultimately, it's about this long work of coming home to yourself. And told through more than one character. It's really beautiful. So it's really not a book about space. It is a book about people on Earth. So if you are in any sort of season of either looking back at the dreams you once had or wondering what still belongs to you now and where are you going, this conversation is going to meet you right where you are. I love Eliana. We tell this story, so I'll just touch on it here. But she and I have the same publisher, and we met at a special event in May of 2025 before either of our books had come out. And Avid Reader, our publisher, selected their 4 sort of lead titles for the fall. Awake was one of them, and To the Moon and Back was one of them. And they hosted this private, fancy lunch in New York City with all these media people. So that was when I first met Eliana, was last May. And then we had an event together on our book tours this fall. And so it's just a delight to have her back in my orbit, if you will. And she's delightful. You are going to love her. This is such a thoughtful, good conversation, and I'm so glad that you are here for it. So, having said all that, please enjoy my conversation with the absolutely delightful, smart, and interesting Eliana Ramage. Okay, first of all, I'm just glad to see you.
It's so good to see you.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
So this is fun. This is fun because you and I met. When was our fancy New York lunch?
Our fancy lunch was in May.
Yeah, in May. Mm-hmm. So for everybody listening, Eliana and I have the same publisher. We are with Avid Reader. Woo-hoo. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Woohoo! Shout out. And in May of 2025, they hosted, let's just call it a fancy lunch.
It was.
And it was with their 4, I guess, top releases of the fall. Let's see, 1 novel and kind of 3 memoirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
all memoirs.
Yeah. So Eliana had the singular novel in the group. And so it was just us, authors, and then like the New York people, the media people from like
Yeah.
all the shows and like all the outlets and all the things. And we got 10, 15 minutes in front
Yeah.
of them. And we sat up there with our editors. Can you tell me what you remember from that fun day?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was the first, it was the first book event for both of us for this particular
That's right.
book.
Release. Yep.
Release, thank you. It was my first book event of any kind ever.
Yep.
So I was very, very, very scared. And I have a strong memory of, it was my first time traveling with a baby. I had a 3-month-old at that time.
That's right.
First time putting her on a plane. So I have a strong memory of like being in my like Spanx full makeup situation in the hotel room with these index cards. And Margot, my editor had told me, I'm going to ask you these like 4 questions, just because she knew I was terrified and she wanted me to be prepared. So I sat in the hotel room and I was like breastfeeding and just like doing these questions, these like memorized answers over and over and over again. I was so scared that I was like going to get one word wrong and then it would all fall apart. So that's the anxiety memory. But then the actual memory was just walking in to the room and seeing, but there's all the media people who were so kind. You were so kind. Seeing the other writers, all the people who work at Avid, getting like handed a drink, and just realizing it was going to be fun. And I think everything has been fun. It wasn't about the memorize.
It really wasn't. And I remember you telling me that so clearly. So first of all, for those of you listening, so it was me and Eliana, Cameron Crowe, no big deal, casual.
No big deal. And
Susan Orlean, casual. I mean, like these career, like stalwarts, right? And I remember you telling, because you got up there with your editor and talked about To the Moon and Back with this just real comfort level, and it just felt so natural and easy. And you had told me in advance, this is my first thing ever, and this is your debut novel. So it's not like you have this deep well of book things to pull from. And I was like, you did fantastic. Like you beautifully explained your novel. You were so comfortable. And I remember you telling me every single word that I said was completely memorized down to the ums. That's what you told me.
Because it's when are you going to pause?
Were practiced. I'm like, oh my God, that is amazing.
When are you going to breathe? Amazing. Like, how are you going to get through this? And I think it's so different when you're like, this is not something to get through. This is something to celebrate. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let's talk about what it's been like for you since that day. Because that was the inaugural book event, which let's just go ahead. Let me just let you know something. That's not normal. Right?
No.
That's not a normal, like, first leg of the race. I just want you to know that. We started, like, with a lot of attention and kind of a high level of access to these big media outlets. And so I'd love to hear you talk about what it has been like since, because that was before both of our books were released. So we were still in the shadows, in May. And then, of course, you have had a major book release. Talk us through a little bit what it was like from May up till now.
It's been so good. It's been amazing. I mean, that was such a beautiful memory, and I loved it. It was kind of like playing like a home game on a sports team, just being there with each other and with our publisher. And then leaving New York and kind of understanding, like really understanding this is a big deal. I think I did go right back to being scared. So I spent a lot of time over the summer, again, trying to memorize, trying to feel like, how am I going to make myself sound like I've been doing this for years when I haven't?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the same exact thing happened after publication day where, I walked out in my hometown bookstore in Parnassus in Nashville, saw like everyone I've ever met. I was so overwhelmed. I was so happy. I felt so cared for. And then really the arc of everything from that was just remembering like this is, we wrote these books, like these, even with mine being fictional, like these are a reflection of who we are and what we care about. They're things that we know how to talk about, not because like we're performing it, but because these are the things that we really care about.
That's right.
And so, getting to share that with readers is it's a different experience even from what happened in New York, because don't you think it's just crazy when people talk to you about how they understood your book? It's wild.
What a book becomes once it's finally in the hands of its readers is a completely different animal.
Yes.
That is a real turning point in the story arc of any given book, because then isn't it fascinating to watch what people assign to it, how they lay their own story over it and have a completely different experience that you maybe didn't even intend or imagine, and they go, these are my side doors into your book. It's just like at that point it almost just belongs to the readers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a better, more interesting book to me now, because now when I think about the book, I don't think about it as what I wrote. I think about it as that plus all of these different interpretations or connections that other people made. It's almost like in my imagination, the book is getting like thicker and thicker. Even if they're adding things that like didn't occur to me and I didn't intend. Like, I'm so glad.
Totally. I remember you told me later. So Eliana and I were also then later at a book festival together in North Carolina.
That was the North Carolina one. Yeah.
Yeah. Bookmarks. We were at book, right? Am I getting?
Yeah, it was Bookmarks and Winston-Salem. What a fall this has been.
What a fall. Oh my gosh. And so there we are in this huge book festival. I mean, Lily King is sitting right next to me. God. It's just a whole deal. And then I see you and it's like, yay! But you told me at Bookmarks, you're like, because I mentioned this in the intro, but To the Moon and Back was a Reese's book club pick. And you told me at Bookmarks, you're like, I knew in New York and I couldn't tell you. You were like sworn to secrecy.
Yes.
But that is, talk about an incredible feature. That is beyond the dreams of most novelists. And so what was it like having Reese bring her considerable reading community to your debut novel? Because it's kind of its own ecosystem, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're incredible readers. And I just... my strongest, I think I have two strongest memories from that. Is just learning that news so early on meant that I learned it when I was in like a deep postpartum era. Like I think maybe I was like 4 or 6 weeks postpartum and getting that call and like I was trying to work on copy edits, first pass pages. I was trying to work on the book with the baby on my chest. It was like a crazy time. And then getting that call and not being able to scream, but like getting that call was amazing. And I got that call from my editor and my agent who had been part of the book. Like, they're just part of the book for so long. And then the other thing is, I kind of felt like you just get thrown into this, like you said, there's this ecosystem of readers and this ecosystem of writers, and they're all so generous with each other.
Yeah.
It felt like my favorite part of publication, getting to connect with people, that was just this additional, really beautiful way to connect.
Totally. That has been my experience. And I'm a career writer and I've written a lot and for a long time. And by and large, with only a few exceptions to the rule, my experience as a member of a reading community, but also a writer's community, which is actually small. I always get confused because all of my friends are authors. So I'm like, everybody's an author. Literally everybody writes a book. Every single person has a book at Barnes & Noble. Like, that's just, my world is so author-centric. And so I forget that it actually is a small community. And lovely. Lovely. I find it generous. My experience is that particularly women, I mean, that's all I really know. I hobnob with male authors, but women are my bread and butter, are generous with their platforms, with their influence, with their recommendations, with their advice. Particularly when I was a young writer, I did not know what I was doing. I didn't have, and so it's so interesting, right? Because like there's writing, which is a craft.
Yes.
And that you're largely in charge of. You are honing it. You are learning. You are educating yourself. You're practicing. But then there's the industry, and it is a completely different lane.
Oh, yeah.
And overwhelming. How have you found, because being a writer is one thing.
Yes.
Being in the industry is a different. So how have you managed the competing energy? Because writing is solitary, largely. Yes. You are in your weird little hidey hole, in your weird little brain, in your dirty clothes, and you're just pecking it out. Obviously we collaborate with our editors, we collaborate with our publishers, but that's later. That's down the road.
That's down the road.
And then you're supposed to flip a switch and be a big time promoter in front of people with your body.
Yeah.
And it is a completely different energy. And so I'm curious, talk about what is your nature? Are you introverted? Are you extra? Was this a tough switch, or did you kind of find an interesting way to maintain who you are and your kind of preferences for your social battery while having to do all this forward-facing stuff?
I love that question, because this is something that has been very much on my mind for the last few months. But I don't think I thought of it with that framing. If I do think about it with that framing, then I think that's part of why this has come to be such a good experience. I am someone who really, really, really needs two things every day. I need to spend a little bit of time by myself. Ideally everybody's asleep, know that I can be by myself. And I think maybe even more than that, what I really need is time with people. Just very, very much, I think extroverted, at least I value connecting with people. So, and if I had to choose, I think I would choose to be with other people versus to be alone every time.
Yep.
So being a people person, being someone who loves being with other people, I thought going into this, and this is where a lot of the fear came from, that this was a moment when you're kind of on your own and there's some kind of standard you have in your head and you have to reach it and perform a certain thing. In my case, I was I need to sound like I've been a professional speaker for a decade. But And if you measure it like that, then you can measure, did I meet that or did I not meet that? And, how can I do better next time? But once I pretty immediately understood from that first conversation that usually these events are set up like this, it's two writers talking to each other and connecting, then that helped me realize you're in front of other people. Everything you just said is true about promoting a book, but this is a chance to do my favorite thing in the world, to connect with other people.
Yeah.
And then when I know that that's the framing for it, then it's the one area of my life, I think, where I don't let myself leave the conversation saying what are your, what did you meet? What did you not meet? What are you going to do differently next time?
And nobody, I think this is, my guess is that your experience is the same as mine, which is nobody comes to a book signing or a book event expecting to hear a polished speech. That's not why they're there.
Yeah.
That's not why they came. That's not why they're connected to your novel and to you. Like it's a much, much more human connection than that.
Yeah.
And once you realize, oh, I can be less performative here, and less shiny and just be myself, then you can like drop in the pocket and really get to experience connection, which is the point.
Absolutely the point.
And I think that's what people respond to.
You can like realize that what do you need to be an expert in? Like your story and your book. That's all you need.
The end. That's it. Yeah, that's it. One last question, because then I want to talk to you about your family a little bit. If you had to say, like, what was the date that your book came out?
September 2nd.
Yeah. Okay. So from September 2nd, throughout the course of the whole fall, did you have like, and it's hard to pick because it's such a whirlwind. I would have a hard time answering this question, so I'm sorry in advance for asking it. Did you have a highlight? Did you have a thing where you went, wow, I'm just not going to forget? Like that, I'm going to put that marker in the ground and go, wow, what an experience.
Oh my God, you're right. There's so many moments like that.
Yeah. Maybe you could just pick one or two.
Yeah, I'm going to just pick one.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm going to just pick one because it's too hard. So I had a lot of really, really wonderful events. One memory from one wonderful event was I went to Wichita, and the event was at the Mid-America All-Indian Museum.
I know exactly. I grew up in Wichita.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
First person I haven't had to explain too much about this. So you know what the Mid-America All-Indian Museum is.
So beautiful.
And you know that it's a museum. It also functions as a community center. And so a bookstore and the community center, like the museum, they did this together. And that meant that like when I walked in, I realized that we were having dinner together, and like these volunteers in the community were like in the kitchen making fry bread for everyone. Like it just felt like a really like everybody in it thing. And I got to have a conversation with a Cherokee artist who I really respect. Like it was all wonderful. Couldn't get any better. And then it did get better because there were so many beautiful signing line conversations. And one of the signing line conversations was with this woman who, I don't want to tell her story, but she told me her story. She told me how she had connected to the book, what it had meant to her, as a Navajo woman, as a mother, as many, many different things that all women are.
Yeah.
And she gave me this pair of earrings that she made, and this card that she wrote, and I just told myself that night. First off, I sobbed, and I told myself that night that this is what it is about to publish a book, to have one moment like that, and they're just to understand what a reader is to a book after a book is like just your thing for so many years. And like whatever happens next with the things you were talking about earlier with like, sales or like just like understanding it in kind of a businessy sense, like just remember this one conversation of many that meant everything.
I love that. What a perfect example. That's so lovely. I feel that feeling in my heart when you're saying it, when someone is in front of you, like connecting their story to yours. Yeah. It's just like alchemy that is very precious. And it puts a lot of gas in the tank to keep doing the hard and beautiful work of writing.
Well,
I'd love
one thing, if it's okay. So one thing that
Yeah.
that I think is on
Okay.
the subject that I just thought of is in terms of what a book does or like what it means to me now that I'm like in this post-publication world is I was on a plane during book tour and there was this woman who was sitting behind me and she was reading awake. And
Oh gosh. It all comes together, doesn't it?
yes. And I
Yeah.
it had been like months since I had seen you the first time in May. And I had this feeling of like and she was moved just watching her read. I had this feeling of like I am basically watching Jen like sit next to this lady on the plane ride and like tell like the deepest stories of her life and what matters to her.
Wow.
And in what other way, since I had read the book and loved the book, like in what other ways of life do you get to watch someone experience another person without that person having to be there?
I have goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
I know. It's magic. Oh, I love that. Oh, thank you for telling me that. What a sweet moment. Okay, let's talk a little bit about you, because you bring your very unique position in the world to the page. Of course, we all do. Can you talk a little bit about growing up, about your own heritage? You were also born and raised in Nashville. I'd like to hear how Nashville has informed your sense of place and community and also your family, your heritage. There's just a lot in the soup pot here.
Yes.
That I think came to bear inside the pages of your novel.
Yes, so much, especially because it's a coming of age novel.
Yeah.
And so it was written like in that space where I was asking myself like those exact questions that you just asked me. I wrote most of this outside of Nashville and apart from my family because I grew up in Nashville. I was here till I was 18. And my parents, my mom, the Cherokee one, gave me a really, really strong sense of self, sense of identity and heritage. Like I knew who I was. And then I left home for the next 12 years. I lived in 4 different cities. I was married. I went to grad school, just like all different jobs. I was pretty much a teacher. I was a teacher pretty much the whole time, not including college. So all of life went in all of these different directions. And I think that I didn't want to go home because it was a good childhood here, but I think I understood Nashville to be a small city. And I didn't, kind of living away from your parents is independence, it's opportunity, it's excitement, it's like finding your own way. So I think what happened when I came home, which was like not on purpose, it was the pandemic happened. So what happened when I came home is all of a sudden I was pretty much 30 years old. I was 29. And I realized that they'd gotten older. I'd realized that I'd gotten older, that I loved talking to them as adults, which is a new thing. I hadn't,
totally.
you don't, it's different. And I felt like I had so much had happened in those years that I wanted to experience with family now. Independence wasn't my biggest value after that point. Like my biggest value was like that rootedness and connection and like these are the years that I have, like who do I want to spend them
That's so good.
with? I think the book came to be at that point like a lot more about our connection to one another than about like how far can we get to space.
Can we get to space? Is that far enough? I really love that. So you have been back in Nashville since 2000.
No, since 2020. So it's been 6 years.
I meant 2020. I'm seeing 20 and I say 2000. But I thank you for understanding what I meant, not what I said. Yeah, so 6 years. Yeah,
Yes.
6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about your family? Because you've mentioned your baby a couple of times. Your family is expanded,
Mm-hmm.
and you are like you're deep in the like building family years now.
Yes, I have an almost 1-year-old now.
Yeah.
Um, definitely, definitely in it. I moved, when I moved back, first I lived with my parents, in my like pandemic, like figure out your life stage.
Yeah.
And now I live, 5 blocks from them.
Oh my gosh,
And
amazing.
my mom comes
Mm,
over every day to take care of the baby. Um,
amazing.
I'm most like my biggest value is what I was talking about earlier. Like,
Mhm.
regardless of career, what do I want to do in my daily life? In my daily life, I want my parents to spend time with my daughter, and like that's
Mm,
handled, and that feels really good. As a separate thing, um,
mhm.
I've come to really love, how like what it means to be in a somewhat smaller city, and to know that I'm gonna stay here. Um,
Mm,
what you were saying earlier about writers, like if there are only so many writers and only so many book events, I can go, I can know a lot of people, I can go to a lot of
that's
events,
right.
I can bring a
Yeah,
baby. Like you get to
that's
feel
right.
like you're building towards something that will you'll get to be part of a community for a long time.
Mm, I love this. And Nashville has a really beautiful community of readers. I mean, Parnassus is
Yeah. Oh my
obviously
gosh.
a
Yeah.
really special independent anchor right there in
Hmm.
the city, and Ann Patchett is just a champion
Yes.
of books and writers and reading. And I I'm you're actually closer to like my kid's age than my age.
Hmm.
My oldest son's 27 and with a baby too.
Mm.
But at 51, I notice that I am increasingly, and I've lived in the same place for 25 years, 26 years now.
Yeah.
But I am increasingly drawn, um, mm, I don't want to like encapsulate it too narrow because I don't,
Yeah.
but to a bit of a smaller life. Um,
Hmm.
just a bit of one. My
Yeah.
life is big by all accounts,
Yeah.
but like this is the same neighborhood. These are my
Hmm.
same friends I have had since the olden days. Like
So nice.
this is the same street. This is the same old house. Like I
Hmm.
know my vendors on my little Main Street store. You know, like there's something that I'm drawn to. And I
Yeah.
like how you said in your 20s there was a sense of independence and expansiveness that was sort of
Hmm.
the engine, which I love
Yes.
that. That's exactly what your
What you
20s are for.
should be doing in those years. Yeah.
Exactly. That is right on brand. And it is interesting, right, to get north of that, having experienced that, which I did not. I got married when I was 19. So I feel like I
Hmm.
missed
Mm.
some of that expansive energy. And
Yeah.
I located that differently, like in my 30s and early 40s.
Yeah.
But then there's something grounding and precious
Hmm.
about rootedness.
Absolutely.
And family, extended family, at that.
Hmm.
I I am not from Austin, although I've lived here since 2000, and I went on a propaganda campaign to my entire family. I told you I was from Wichita, so that's where
Hmm.
everybody lived, to get everybody to move here. And so when my kids were little, I
Hmm.
used them as bait. Like, I've got the only grandbabies
Get over
down here in
here.
Austin. We miss you. They
Oh my
wish they knew
God.
their grandparents. I mean, that was shameless,
Of course.
shameless.
You have to be.
And so now, after a sustained like agenda that
Hmm.
I kind of got one at a time, and then we did use the power of the pack
Oh,
to get
yeah.
the rest. So everybody's here. My
FOMO.
parents, all my siblings, all
Oh,
their
that's
families.
amazing.
And then I've engaged in quite a strong campaign with my own adult children, and most of them live here too.
Oh, that's so great.
Nearish.
Yeah.
Nearish. It's so
Yeah. Yeah.
great. What I'm saying
Hmm.
is I love what you're building right now. And I
Me
love
too.
your values to go, what do I really want in this season of life? In the
Yeah.
young motherhood, baby season of life. And your baby, by the way, is a real cutie pie.
Thank
I
you.
got to meet your
I think
baby
so.
at Bookmarks, your whole little family. You've got such a sweet family. Let's talk about To the Moon and Back a little bit.
Okay.
Can you talk about the arc of writing this book? Because this was not, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to give myself an 8-month deadline, I'm going to punch it out. That is not the way that this book came to be. I'd love to hear you talk through everything. Its origin story, the genesis of the idea, because it's very original. Very, very original. I've never read characters like this or a story arc like this. You've really created something fascinating and just page-turny. But it did not come out in one calendar year. So I'd love to hear you talk about the process of writing a little bit.
Yes. Okay, here we go. A lot of life happened in this time. So 2009 is when I went to college, and I did think, arriving at college, I was like, I'm going to write a book in like a year. I'm going to like revise it for 3 years.
Sure.
Didn't happen. But I chose my college. I went to Dartmouth College, because it has a really, really big, Native community. And I wanted to be part of that, especially because there are very, very, very few Native people in Nashville. And it was exciting. It was really exciting to get to not be the only one, to get to be in like this vibrant, exciting community where like we lived in the Native American student house, and just like having all this diversity of different tribal nations and kids. So it got me started on my leaving home journey, and I had this moment in my first like months of school where a lot of us in the Native Student Organization were talking together, and we were doing these projects where individual study projects, but a lot of us were talking about our tribes in kind of a past focused way. Kind of assuming, in a way, framing it maybe of like this is authenticity, and then everything after that is loss. So there was a sophomore in the room that day, Winter Fox Frank, who said like, no way, you're all wrong. Our tribes are not static. And if one of you in the room today were to become an astronaut, then that too would be part of the story of your people. So that was a gift that someone gave me when I was 18. Wow. Yeah, it was just like the chance to first off, like to start to change my outlook on what it means to be Cherokee, but second, to have like this, okay, there's this astronaut girl and she's just going to be with me for the next many, many, many years. So that happened. And then I told you earlier, I was gone out of Nashville, meaning from 2009 to 2020. But from 2009 to 2018, I was kind of up and down on working on that novel. I was always working on it until 2018, but usually it was that I'm a teacher and I'm writing it before work and I'm like working on it when I can.
Totally.
But then there was this 2-year period, huge contrast, where I'm in grad school and you've got like total financial freedom, writing community, like nothing but time to write. So this big gift that like no one gets. And at the end of that grad program in 2018, like the book was still not ready. Like it was done, but it wasn't what I knew it wasn't good enough. So in 2018, the dates are confusing, but right after grad school, right after this like peak in terms of confidence, I had my immediate valley of, I think if you get caught in accidentally thinking of a book as like a product, and then the product has taken years and years and it's not working, it's not done, and it's not like successful, then it's like, if this were a business, then we should like close up shop, you know?
Yeah.
Like this isn't how we should spend our time if you understand writing as you're working on a product. So I got, so I stopped writing. All in the same period of like a few months. I got divorced. From someone I'd been with since I was 18. So got divorced.
Yeah. Big deal.
Stopped writing. And I took on all these other jobs. So I was, leaving the apartment at 5 a.m. and coming back really late. Just like, I was really tired and really sad and really felt like I'm kind of career lost. I'm kind of everything lost, but I shouldn't be spending my time on writing. Like you tried that and that didn't work out. You tried many things in your 20s and it didn't work out. That was one of many things that struck me in a wake of like, you have this understanding of what your future is going to be. And then you don't know what it's going to be. And that's, so that was a 2-year period leading right up to the pandemic of, I should have, I think, gone straight home. If you have like a loving family that's like available and they're like, come here and like, we'll figure it out, then I wish I had gone straight home. Instead, I was just sad for a couple of years. And I came home when I had to, when my parents were like, we're in our 70s and there's no kids in town and there's a pandemic happening. Like, can you please? Yeah. So when it was framed as like, not they can help me, which would have been sad for my ego, but like I can help them by getting the groceries. I think that reframe made it work for me. Yeah. And then I think the last part of what happened for this book, what got me to go back to writing it, was like my parents were downstairs, in my childhood home. I was upstairs, and it was my first time in my adult life, like sleeping alone. It was my first time, like, waking up, having, I had a virtual job, so I didn't have to start working until I think 9 a.m. I had a friend who was a writer who was also doing, kind of starting over. And she was like, well, we have this time and she was living in her grandmother's house. Like, we were in this place of being able to try something different, just for ourselves. So we started 4 a.m. Club, where we would, text each other at 4 a.m. being like, we're writing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was crazy. Of course, it did not stay 4 a.m. for that long, but like what I got out of it was this immediate understanding of like, being alone in the morning is like this beautiful, like freedom, like this just place for yourself. That meant so much to me. And then the second thing is I remembered, once I went back to the book, I remembered like, this isn't a product.
That's right.
It's a story about these women who are trying to understand who they are and move forward together after making some mistakes. That's where I definitely am right now. And if I could just finish this one thing that has been so hard for so many years, like if I could finish this one thing, then regardless of if I even ever, like whatever that next step was, if I could finish it, then it would be the first time I had something that, like, had done something that I could be really proud of.
I love everything that you just said. And it's interesting to think about you, essentially it being a loving companion to your characters for a decade. I mean, for a decade, like they're in your head. They're like walking around in your thoughts. You are dreaming up their story arcs, and at that point, these are like friends that you have spent a formative amount of time with. And so I'd love to hear you. Of course, this is obviously in Jen Hatmaker Book Club this month.
Yes.
And so when you and I
Crazy.
are recording it right now, the community has only had the book now for a little over a week. So they're still reading it.
Okay.
But they will hear this episode at the end of the month. And at that point, we're like, listen, if you haven't finished it by now, your blood is on your own hands. Like, we're going to talk about whatever we want to talk about, including endings.
Okay.
So I would love to hear you talk, first of all, about some of your characters, because obviously this is women forward. Your primary characters are women with a couple of important side men. That fed the river. But I'd like to hear who you loved the most and who you loved writing the most, and maybe if there was a character that just lingers in your heart more than another that you miss sometimes.
Yes. Definitely the answer to that is Della.
Della, yeah.
Yeah. I think that
we all loved her.
Thank you. I think they're all the women are the girls and women in this book are in the same position. I think they're trying to understand what their story is, make peace with it, move forward, like with other people. Yeah. Even if that story is surprising to them or is maybe not what they expected, or is a hard story to carry. And with Della, it just breaks my heart that like she's a semi-public figure, and so she's on that same journey, but she knows that so many people believe they already know that story. And so I really, really wanted her to find a way to be curious about herself, to lean into understanding herself, and to not be afraid to share it, even though she has to be afraid to share it under her circumstances. She's been told who she is.
I loved her. She was highly resonant for me as a reader, and I deeply identified with her search. And I appreciated her willingness to steer into connection as opposed to isolation. And of course, you gave us a lot of competing energies around connection because we have Steph.
Yes.
We also loved, but she's very frustrating.
Absolutely.
She was very frustrating in terms of, her coping mechanisms. And her ambition, which I'm no enemy of ambition, and so that's not. I don't have beef with Steph's ambition, but the way that she chose it over and over connection.
Because ambition is not the only thing in the world. It's hard when there's a character who, like, every time will value that as the most important thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you did a beautiful job of writing without hyperbole what it looks like when that's the top rung of your ladder. And everything below it is willing to be sacrificed in service of it. And I'd like to talk about the ending.
Okay.
Because I really appreciated your restraint. And you could have, and maybe people said that you should have, I have no idea what your reader response has been, given us a bit more of a trope. You could have given us a happy ending in one place or another. It could have been relationally. It could have been, she finally got to the damn moon. Like, there was a lot of places you could have tidied it up and given us a little bow. And you just laid it kind of gently on the page without a lot of fuss and big demonstrative endings. Or I'd love to hear you talk again at this point when our readers are listening to this conversation, they have read it, so it's okay to go here. And if you haven't finished it, everybody, just move it along, hit fast forward. But I'd like to hear you I talk about your decisions that you made at the end of the book.
Decisions. So many decisions, and This is where Margot comes in. Because when the book sold to Avid, it had a different ending than what it has now.
Oh, tell us.
Oh gosh, there were so many. It's hard to even remember, but I know the mom lived for sure, and the mom had a point of view section, where she was speaking for herself. But I think that I was newer to writing that section. Like, it had come about in more recent years, and so it wasn't as strong. There are all these craft reasons why it wasn't working. It wasn't as strong, and it felt like all I knew about her at that point, because for many years I was more focused on Steph and Kayla and Della in the writing. I wasn't thinking about the mom. So kind of the only thing I felt like I knew about the mom for a while was that she had experienced intimate partner violence. And so the way I handled her in those earlier drafts was like, for a long time she was absent, or she was flat, or there was a version where I wanted it to just be okay. So she had her own place to speak in the novel, and then she ended up marrying the mailman. Like, there were all of these experiments I was doing for years. I think there's so many things my editor Margot did, and Bobby, who was the UK editor, because the two of them were editing at the same time, which was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So the two of them were really, really great in like giving me a lot of freedom to, we want to see another draft in another few months, just like, here's how we understand what is here right now, but like, kind of, you can go crazy. And then they would rein me in with need be. So there was a lot of change that happened in those, in that final year of editing. But in terms of the ending, one thing Margot was pretty clear about was, I don't need to have what she called too many bows at the end. In the previous draft, or a previous draft, it was like, I just wanted everything to be okay with everyone. And it was like, the main energy of the book was over, but there were like a few different chapters, one after the other, of like, the most extreme example is that the sisters just happened to be driving around on like the night that marriage equality passed, and so they go and celebrate that. Like, these things where I think in real life, you don't need to know that like everything is all going to be figured out at once. You need to like land the plane on what the heart of the book is, what matters.
That's good.
Like a single image in the case of this book with the two sisters. And now, like, I do feel really optimistic about where things are going to go for the characters from here, but I don't think any of us, for our own lives, feel like we have that written out. And so there's some wiggle room on where they would go next, I think.
I love this. I appreciate that. I think that showed a lot of finesse and maturity as a novelist to really honor the story arc without forcing it upward into like a high note so that everybody can sleep at night. Like,
and that's really hard with relationships, because like, if you believe that Steph and Della really loved each other when they were younger, which I do, then you want to believe that like maybe a more mature version of them could work out. And there are couples in the world who are still together, and it's going great. I think a lot of people, it might not work out with the person you were with when you were 18, and that's okay.
Of course. Yeah. Okay. It's so beautiful. I really could not be happier that your book has received such critical acclaim and such attention, that it has done so well in the world. I am so glad for you, and I respect so much how long you kept your foot on the gas here, that you just would not let it go. And that you were willing to revise and rewrite and stick with it, like all the way to the end. And so whatever revisions and edits and changes you made over 10 years plus, what you ended with is so good and it feels so right. Like, of course, this is the only version I know. So I'm like, no, this is how it should have gone. Like, that's exactly right. I can't imagine another version really of anybody, not the characters, not the plot points, not the ending. It's marvelous. And I thought about your characters long after I closed the book. And I had just a real love for them. And I'm like rooting for their fake lives out in the world. I'm like, oh, what would they be doing today? Okay, let's wrap here.
Okay.
A couple of questions. First of all, we'd love to know what you're working on because you're a writer. This is your job now.
Crazy.
This is your job. So what you got in the hopper?
I am very newly post-book tour working on my second novel. What I can say about it is that I am in that like place I haven't been in for many, many years of like, you don't know what you're doing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's become like kind of a ritual for myself where like I have a really frustrating work morning. And then at the end of it, I'm like, hey, Eliana, that's what I called myself when I was a child. So I do it now. Hey, Eliana, like this, what you just said, this is your job. And if this is like scary or hard, like, can you believe that this is
totally,
you're doing this job because your wildest dreams came true.
That's right. Oh, that's so good. Is it way too soon to even give us a one sentence on ramp into like, this is sort of where I'm heading? Or is it too early?
It's about a family. And then I've been changing a whole lot of details.
It's about a family, TBD. So, yeah, got it. Great. Family. That's very honed in. Very honed in. Hey, we've got a vision for it.
More to come.
Yeah, more to come. This is great. Oh, I love this. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you come up with next and who you're writing and what they become. Last question. Just because we love this, I get some of my very best recommendations from other writers. I'd love to know anything that you've read lately that you love. This could be like a recent book or it could be like an old-timey favorite. I don't really care, but like what's one or two of your like best recommendations?
Okay, so a recent book that I loved. Actually, you just said one or two. I was only going to do one, but here's two.
Great.
So one of them is Ring of Salt by Betsy Cornwell.
I read it. I read it when it was just an ARC. Like, ooh. Yeah, because we have the same publisher.
Yes.
So, isn't it fascinating?
It's so good. Okay. So, do the people know what it's about?
No, tell. Give them a little touchdown.
It's a memoir. It's a survival story. It's very much a motherhood story. There's this woman who is in rural, like Western Ireland, and she escapes a relationship with intimate partner violence with her child. She's a writer, and so I was just like full. What's the word? Like racing through the pages.
Yeah.
It's so gripping. You're rooting for her so much.
So much.
And as a writer, like, isn't it beautiful to know that she has this dream of making, even as she has like no security for herself, her dream is to make a writing residency for single mothers.
Yeah.
And so you get to kind of see how someone is doing like basic survival, parenthood as like her biggest thing, and like art, like making a place for art all at the same time.
Yeah, and vision. It's so fascinating and well written. I mean, she's a beautiful writer. It reads like fiction. It almost reads like fiction. It is so, it's all in there, like drama and adventure and fear and love and refurbishing an old house in Ireland.
Yes.
Like, it's all in there, guys. It's really, and it really just recently came out.
Like, I think October. Pretty recently.
Yeah. Ring of Salt. Great. What's your second recommendation?
My second one is actually also a memoir. And it's also motherhood memoir. It's called I'll Tell You When I'm Home. It's by Hala Alian. And it is, I mean, she's a Palestinian American poet. It's written very, 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 very poetically. Just such beautiful language, and the concept for it is really beautiful too. It's that she for a long time has wanted a child. She's in the US as she's writing this over the 9 months of gestation for her daughter, and she has a surrogate who's carrying the child, I believe in Canada. I read this a few months ago, and sort of on this timeline, which goes month by month, waiting for the child to arrive, for her daughter to arrive, she's thinking through all of these stories of displacement and inheritance, and like, who am I in the context of my family and all of the women who came before me, sort of like in time for this baby to arrive in the world.
Oh, I love that structure.
It's really good.
Like, I love a time frame structure like that.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Everybody, we will put both of those recs up in the chat so that you can follow those. Also, speaking of following, can you just let everybody know, because of course this goes to the JHBC group, but we also put this episode out on the big podcast too, for anybody who wants to like peek in the windows and go, what's going on in the book club? And
do I want in?
What should I read? Can you let everybody know where to find you, to follow you? And then if you have a preferred place, because obviously To the Moon and Back is everywhere. You can get it anywhere that books are, but point people in the right direction.
Okay. So on Instagram, I'm at Eliana Ramage, my first name and my last name. And the book is available where books are available, but my my local independent bookstore that I love so much and that hosted the launch for this book is Parnassus Books in Nashville.
Yeah, they're so great. I did an event with them too, and that is this gold standard for bookstores and staff. And anyway, perfect. We'll put that link up, everybody.
Lucky.
Okay. Well, I'm just so happy to see you today. Thank you so much for letting us enjoy your book and book club this month. I mean, how many incredible conversations this book spurs on, and it's across so many strata. I mean, gender, culture, identity, ambition, sexuality, like it's just all in there. Like, if you're just a person, you'll find your way in to the story. So cheering for you. I just can't wait to see what you do next, and I am on your fan team. So thanks for being here today.
Really beautiful as a Jen Hatmaker fan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. Until next time, let's maybe not take 10 years to write the next book. Let's just crank it out.
Yeah.
And then we'll read it. That's how this works. Like, that's how it goes. It's exciting.
It is.
Love literature. Great to see you.
You too. Thank you.